Hi, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to The Wandering Reader. Today I thought I would do a library haul. I don't use my library much, and I think that's a crying shame really. I was inspired to use my library a bit more when I watched one of Amy Jane Smith's videos a few months ago that she made about her using her local library and what she thought the importance was of using your library and things like that. And I always used to use the library as a child. I'd be there sort of every couple of weeks picking out different books and things, and I used to love going there. As an adult, I like collecting books and having them on my shelves, so the appeal of the library has kind of gone down for me, but I do see the value in it, and actually sometimes there's a few books that I'd quite like to try but not necessarily buy, so the library's perfect for that. And then if I really like something, I can always pick myself up a copy of it afterwards. I have a really small library around the corner from me, so I tend to order books in and then pick them up from there, and they come from all over the county. So I'm going to show you what I've got out from the library at the moment. So the first book I have here is a graphic novel called Through the Woods, Stories by Emily Carroll. If you watched my Try a Graphic Novel video last week, you'll have seen this in here. I have since finished this graphic novel, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in my wrap up, but I thought it was good. The next one I have here is The Motorcycle Diaries by Che Guevara. This is a non-fiction book that I picked up for my Across the Continents reading goal for the year, and I'll read you what it says on the back. In January 1952, two young men from Buenos Aires set out to explore South America on La Poderosa, the powerful one, a 500cc Norton. One of them was the 23-year-old Che Guevara. Written 8 years before the Cuban Revolution, these are Che's diaries, full of disasters and discoveries, high drama, low comedy, and laddish improvisations. During his travels through Argentina, Chile, Peru, and Venezuela, Che's main concerns are where the next drink is coming from, where the next bed is to be found, and who might be around to share it. Within a decade, the whole world would know his name. His trip might have been the adventure of a lifetime, had his lifetime not turned into a much greater adventure. So this is much beloved by a lot of readers out there, and it's one that I've been meaning to read for a while. So I picked that up, and I've actually started just the first few pages of that one. Next up is another graphic novel, is Saga Won You Won. Again, I mentioned this in my Try a Graphic Novel video that I put up last week. I haven't got around to finishing this one yet, but I'm hoping to pick it up over the weekend. Next up is a book called The White Darkness by Geraldine McCorain. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. This is a YA novel set in the Antarctic. So again, I picked it up for my Across the Continents challenge. It says on the inside cover, Captain Oates, hero of the Antarctic, has been dead for nearly a century, but not in Sim's head. In there, he is her constant companion, her soulmate, her advisor. It is as if he walked out of the polar blizzard and into her mind. In fact, if it were not for him, life might be as bleak a place as the Antarctic wilderness. Then a short family expedition makes her ask the question she's long been avoiding. Is it madness to stake your happiness on someone or something that isn't there? So that sounds a little bit mysterious. So I'm looking forward to picking that up. Next up I have The Colour by Rose Tremaine. This one is set in New Zealand, so again good for my Across the Continents challenge. This one says, Joseph and Harriet Blackstone immigrate from Norfolk to New Zealand in search of new beginnings and prosperity, but the harsh land near Christchurch threatens to destroy them almost before they begin. When Joseph finds gold in the creek, he's seized by a rapturous obsession with the voluptuous riches awaiting him deep in the earth. Abandoning his farm and his family, he sets off alone for the new goldfields over the southern Alps, a moral wilderness where many others, under the seductive dreams of the colour, are violently rushing to their destinies. By turns moving and terrifying, The Colour is about a quest for the impossible, an attempt to mine the complexities of love and explore the sacrifices to be made in the pursuit of happiness. I've never read anything by Rose Tremaine before, but I'm really intrigued about New Zealand. I'd love to go there, and this sounds kind of like historical New Zealand, so I'm looking forward to picking that up. Next I have one that's been mentioned on BookTube a lot. It's You by Caroline Kepnes. So this looks like it's a thriller. It says he waits, he watches, he follows on the back. On the front, sorry. And on the back it says, when Guinevere Beck strides into the bookshop where Joe works, he's instantly smitten. And so begins an attraction that quickly spirals into a whirlwind of deadly consequences. A chilling account of unrelenting, terrifying obsession, Caroline Kepnes's You is a thriller more perversely clever and dangerously twisted than any you have ever read. I do like me a thriller, so when I was picking up a couple of the other books that I ordered in the week, I saw this on the shelf and I thought, well, I'll pick that up because I've heard good things about it. So I'm looking forward to giving that one a try. I have two more here. The first one is City of God by Paulo Lins. So it says on the front, drugs, guns, fashion, music, love, friendship, corruption, blood and guts. And this was made into a film, I believe. So it says on the back, based on a true story, this is a sprawling, magnificently told epic about the history of gang life in Rio's favelas. It is the original novel on which the Oscar-nominated film was based. Cidade de Deus, the City of God, I don't think I've pronounced that correctly. Welcome to one of Rio's most notorious slums. A place where the streets are awash with drugs, where violence can erupt at any moment over drugs, money or love. But also where the samba beat rocks till dawn, where the women are the most beautiful on earth, and where one young man wants to escape his background and become a photographer. Paulo Lins was born in Rio de Janeiro and at 7 moved to the City of God housing project. He escaped the cycle of violence there to become an internationally celebrated writer and still lives in Rio. This novel is the result of extended research in the housing project where Lins was raised. He spent 8 years interviewing people and researching the drug trafficking and gang warfare that marked the neighbourhood in the 1970s and 80s. So that sounds really, really interesting. I love watching the Ross Kemp documentaries where he goes into different kind of dangerous places and talks about what life is like there, and this sounds like it's going to be a little bit like that. True to life, experienced by somebody who actually lived there. So I'm really looking forward to picking that up. And the last one that I have here is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. Again, this has been mentioned on BookTube a few times. Sorry about the glare on these books. They like putting these kind of horrible plastic covers on them. It says on the front, how do you stop a killer when no one believes they exist? So we've got, this was meant to be the perfect trip. The Northern Lights, a luxury press launch on a boutique cruise ship. A chance for travel journalist Lo Blacklock to recover from a traumatic break-in. Except things don't go as planned. Woken in the night by screams, Lo rushes to her window to see a body thrown overboard from the next door cabin. But the records show that no one ever checked into that cabin, and no passengers are missing from the boat. Exhausted, emotional and increasingly desperate, Lo has to face the fact that she may have made a terrible mistake, or she's trapped on board a boat with a murderer, and she is the sole witness. So I've heard some good things about this, I've heard some not so good things, so I wanted to read it for myself and see what I thought. So there you go guys, they're all the things that I have out from the library at the moment. Let me know whether you've read any of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. Leave me a comment below. Thanks very much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!